Hey.
Welcome back, or welcome to, for the new people that are joining us along the way, a Sunday night Rokugan adventure down in Crab Valley.
Crab Valley.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Or Crab Bucket, or Crabs in the Bucket, or Crabs in the Valley. The provinces of Crab. Is that the better
Sure.
term?
Well, if you're still with us.
Come on, we didn't lose people based on that. I'm Jameson, and I'm joined by Corey, and as someone so magnificently put it, someone forgot to drop an extra 2 fate on Hollis.
Yeah. That's right. Hollis has ran out and he's disappeared somewhere.
So Mr. Hollis will not be joining us this evening. Hopefully we find our second copy and he will be joining us.
Eventually.
Yeah.
We'll see about that.
Crab Dynasty tonight, everybody. Before we go in, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for picking us up, whether you are going to listen live, watch the videos later, or who knows, maybe catch us down on an audio podcast somewhere down the lane. Thank you for subscribing, or if you do subscribe. If you don't, please help us out down there. It's the simplest thing you can do if you're not a donator kind of person. If you would like to donate financially, you can do that as well. You can find it in the link below. We have a Patreon and we have the YouTube sponsorship that gets you a month of sponsorship to help us out. We really appreciate that. But like we said, if you just like and subscribe this video or this audio, or leave a review wherever you can, share us with a friend, really appreciate it. All that said, Corey, let's get right into it. We have a Crab Stronghold.
That's right. And we're diving right in. So again, real quick, thanks. Welcome to everyone who's tuning in and watching. And we will start today with Shiro Nishiyama. So one of the big things that you've probably heard, or if you've definitely played against Crab, is they are a clan that's big on defense, being really tough shells it's hard to crack and break through. And so take that thought as we go into the details of what the stronghold does. So here we go. So it is Crab Stronghold. It is a castle. Because why not? Really cool thing about this that kind of stands out from some of the other strongholds is it's a strength +3. So it's really good at buffing the province and stuff that's laid down below it. 10 fate, 7 influence. 10 honor, 7 fate, 10 influence. And then it has an action. During a conflict, bow the stronghold. Each defending character you control gets +1 military and +1 political until the end of the conflict. So there you go. Again, like reinforcing the defense aspect of the Crab clan. And what's really neat, and why I really like the Stronghold, is that it's buffing military and political, and it's doing it to everybody, and it's not even specific to just Crab Clan personalities. So even like some of the freebie guys you may pull out, like your Eager Scout or your Kaiu Envoy or stuff like that, those guys can be buffed, and they actually become pretty decent personalities on the defense once they get that extra like incentive, extra boost. So yeah. Any other thoughts, comments? I mean, this is a pretty solid stronghold. It's not like, oh my god, amazing, but it's definitely good.
Yeah, so I think it breaks down almost just like that. It's not super amazing. Again, I'd have to, if I was looking at the scorecard, I have to dock a little bit of points on it because it's each defending character gets the bonuses. Obviously, if you could use it on when you're attacking, that would be pretty darn sweet. But a +3 is nothing to, you know, shake a stick at there on the stronghold's ability. That's really good. The fact that it also gives you both military and political bonus, that's really crazy. And to me, again, another negative is the honor is a little, you know,
10.
Yeah,
too low for you.
Yeah.
Too low. Oh well, like
I mean,
can't all
compared
be
to
12.
I mean, compared to others, right? I'm just saying, right?
Well, 10's about standard, I think, aside from maybe 3 other clans. So they're in there with more than 50% of the field. So that's not a bad stat. But definitely this plays like thematically in the sense that the idea is it's supposed to be harder for you to be able to win conflicts attacking the crab. And even if they may not necessarily be beating you on the defense, they're making you have to work just a little bit harder to be able to get enough strength pass to be able to break the province you're attacking. Playing against it and playing as crab a whole bunch, you'll run into situations where you'll go like a turn or two and you have maybe broken one province. And then there's definitely like a nice like tilt mode it can start putting some people on, but you just feel like you're just bouncing off this wall and you're having a real hard time like breaking it down. And this stronghold helps to kind of reinforce and push that. And then when you finally get to the province, it's got an extra bonus on top of it as being a little bit tougher to break, aside from whatever other bonuses it may give when you reveal and flip it. So definitely resilient, which is very fitting for the crab clan.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely solid buffs, right? Like I said, I really wish that it could go either way, but I feel like what it's doing is crab is really good on defense. So giving you that extra little bit on defense, what it's doing is opening up your attack windows. So your good defenders can, you know, that can stand on their own, you have more faith in them because of the backup abilities here, like, you know, eking them up a little, and you maybe at those points, man, this is really hard for me to get out, eh?
Yeah.
You don't have to send so many guys in on defense or hold so many guys back to, you know, to defend if you're our, you know, first player and taking your attack. So instead of sending 2 guys, maybe just one will do because of crab's excellent defensive abilities and the abilities on the stronghold. So
yeah, I mean, it definitely makes them very efficient. And then granted, as you see and start seeing a lot more of the card pool as we start going through it, you'll start seeing how they're able to get a lot of mileage out of just a few characters. And then they have a lot of nice tricks and things that will allow them to keep those characters in play longer than normal, which allows them to build up a pretty nice fate pool, like a reserve there. It never even seems very often that when you get really good and really fluent in the crab that you end up a lot feeling being starved for economy. They're usually pretty efficient in it. So yeah. So you want to start diving in some of these characters?
I do.
These other cards?
I do. I feel like that was a good
good movement.
Good base.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go into the Borderlands Defender.
Oh, so before we continue, I would just like to make a small point. Again, last week we had some people before ask for the cards. Can we show the cards? I put up the cards in the last episode, but I'm doing them a different way. So if you guys like to see the cards the way they're being displayed today, just drop some feedback in the comments. Let me know how you guys feel about that kind of stuff, and you know, I can try and adjust, make tweaks here and there. So if you're catching this on the video, let us know. Like, definitely throw any kind of feedback, and not just to that, in the comments about how the the display is set up, what you guys would like to see and covered. Feel free, we read them all.
Yeah, and since you kind of mentioned some nice feedback, we did throw a poll up on the Facebook page for determining which clan we went over, and Crab won, just barely squeaked out Phoenix by 1 point, or 1 vote. But I really want to say, man, you guys had no love for the Dragon Clan. They didn't get a single vote out of sitting like all weekend.
I wasn't going to vote myself.
Yeah, so what's up? What's up with that? What are you doing? All right, anyway.
Saving the best for last.
Oh, there you go. All right, so Borderlands Defender. So here we go. This is a Crab character, A. Bushi. Cost 3, military 3, political 3, glory 1. While this character is defending, opponents' card effects cannot bow it or move it. Really great card.
Great, cool artwork. Pulling great out already. I just think it was good.
Yeah. No, I mean, the fact is, so it's in the price range where she can't be assassinated. So, okay, cool. So 3/3, so she's got, you're paying 3 for 3 military, 3 political. And then the fact when she's on the defense, she's pretty much sticking around. Like, your opponent has a really hard time doing things to take her out of contention or making her not matter, not count. Because she's not getting sent home by anything, and she's not bowing. So they're not pulling any tricks to kind of just mitigate her presence. And that's pretty impactful. Especially if you think about, like, you throw like a watch commander on her. 4/4. She goes a 4/4 off stronghold. Real good. It's real good. So, I mean, I don't think you're going to be too sad if you see one of these flop. I think it's a pretty solid character all around.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like the best part about it is the cost is keeping it out of assassination range.
Mm-hmm.
And the stats are really good. So, I mean, but other than that, it's just, you're basically, paying a fate per stat, right? 3 for 3 for 3, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, because you're building evenly on both military and political.
Mm-hmm. And then the bonus is it just is what it is. I mean, I can either take it or leave it. So just based on the stats, I think it's good. I do like that it's tagged Bushi. Also, it's going to be important later on to see those keywords come into effect. So this one here is good stats. And that's what it's going to be for a.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a majorly exciting, like really, crazy ability, but the ability matters. Like, your opponent has to factor that in when they're coming in on the attack, because there's a lot of tricks that have become real popular in the game right now that just don't work. This character's like, no, you got to target somebody else.
That's all I got for this one. I mean, you're not going to be disappointed off a flop with Borderlands Defender.
Cool. We'll keep on trucking then. Yeah, so next we move on to a holding. This holding is the Borderlands Fortification. This is a crab holding. It is a battlefield. Okay. It is strength +2. And it adds this ability. Choose a card in one of your provinces. Switch this holding with that card. Okay. So, as we mentioned earlier, Crab have the whole thing, like, we're really defensive. We're going to make it really hard for you to take your province. So then you get a holding that'll then buff the province it's in, and then it can move. Sometimes you'll find yourself in situations where you maybe can't pay for all the characters you want, and you want to leave somebody out. And maybe you're risking having that character sit there, and you want a little extra way to protect him. And so Borderlands Fortification can help you kind of like swap and move them to where your opponent's not going. That's pretty neat. This is an interesting holding, right? Because it's a holding that you're going to get and you're going to leave and play, but it's not necessarily doing anything. I don't want to say it like that. I mean, it's a weird ability. I mean, it's purely defensive, and it's helping to move your face-up cards around or kind of jump itself in positions to where it's making it just a little bit harder for your opponent to be able to break in the story or province. Which it's cool. but I wouldn't say this is like an auto include. Oh my god, you got to play with it. And something else to kind of throw in is that holdings are important for Crab, because as you'll see, there are like a couple personalities currently that trigger off holdings we have in play, and they also have ways to kind of recycle holdings. This one right now kind of fluctuates on whether I play with it. I think this card will probably get a lot better if you start seeing more ways to where you can play more of like a dishonor control type style, where stalling the game or like defending out to keep your opponent while you kind of build board state. This card might be able to help in that. But I think right now there's some better options to kind of beat this out. It's tough.
I think that this card is going to be weighted more on future potential. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the fact that that you're popping 2+ on a stronghold, which is on a holding, which is nice. But I just don't think the card effect is there yet, is needed. This is going to be something that you're going to see probably trigger later to kind of like move guys, like you said, Corey, into position, set things up, or even save people off broken provinces and things like that. If you feel that they are so threatened. Was this errated?
They did make a change, because initially you're able to use it with your stronghold to like swap your stronghold to the province position, and they kind of clarified and cleared a lot of that jank and silliness up, where it doesn't prevent you from losing the game and stuff like that.
So some people are calling that an errata. I just call it a rules clarification.
Right. Really. So,
there's rules lawyers out there, man, that just like to make sure that shit is vault tight.
Hey, I got it.
Yeah.
It's cool. I respect that. You gotta leave the opening. You gotta be ready.
So I think this is something you're gonna see now. Come out there for the +2 bump. I don't think you're gonna see much action trigger on this. But it is important, like you said, because it's a holding in Crab, and we'll see cards trigger off that stuff. So it is what it is, but it's nothing to dance a jig about. I mean,
right. I think I put this in it's got potential.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad if you play with like one or two of these floating around. I don't think it's a bad card. I don't think it's fully realized maybe the type of decks you might be able to play this out of.
Now, when you switch, you're not getting that +2 bonus anymore, are you?
No, I mean, like if you move it to the province that you're switching.
Yeah, you're moving it in, but if you move
it out, you're not.
Yeah,
correct. But it's very. I feel like a lot of times I don't think your opponent's like going directly for the Borderlands fortification.
No.
I think they're trying to go for another card in the Borderlands fortification that's coming in.
But I'm just
save
again
that card.
For
clarification.
For clarification purposes.
There we go.
I'm saying the effect does not linger. You know what? Because I'm finding that the playtime, like I wouldn't say, I mean, I know it's tied to the learning curve, but the playtime of this game, as you learn, is really huge, and all about where actions go and stacking the modifiers and things like that. Like sometimes people have a hard time with that, so that's why in some of these episodes I just want to ask those questions and talk it out so that beginner people that are following along can understand.
Oh, okay. So you're not trolling me.
No, man. No, there is a reason. There is a reason behind the method to the madness, brother.
Do you forget how the rules work?
Yeah.
All right.
No, because
anyway,
some people might not think both ways, right? Like swapping it in. I've played against somebody that thought that actions off holdings and stuff could only be played on the one that they're attacking. Right? So
Gotcha.
Someone might not be thinking that something that's over here is still in play even though the action is here.
Was that person a previous L5R player?
No.
Okay. I know that sometimes like presence was a big thing in the old game. And so that's a rule that a lot of people coming from the old game to the new game take a little while to kind of get used to. Because you don't necessarily need to be present to trigger actions and stuff, which was something that was pretty important in the old game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
more you know.
This is bringing the holding in to battle and switching it out.
Yeah.
Right. So
cool.
I mean, it's still it doesn't change, the way that we talked about it, but I just want people to be aware of that. Again, defensive theme.
Yeah. Thematically, that seems very interesting. Like you're attacking, and then the crab are like, "Oh no!" and then they quickly like build a wall, or something, or maybe there's like fog, and they're like, "Oh, it's all good." And
they're like master builders from like the Lego movie. Like that's how quickly I picture it coming out.
But it's all ready to go. Then they bounce, and they're like, "What just happened? Where did this come from?" Oh, silly crabs! All right. Anyway, okay, so let's keep moving. So, Borderlands fortification. We got there. All right, next we're going to go to a super exciting card. Get ready. It is the Eager Scout. This is a Bushi Scout. He costs 0, military 0, political 0, and glory 0. Yep. So another neat little thematic thing that Crab Clan has is sacrifice mechanics. And so this right here is a nice guy to just throw out there. Doesn't cost you anything, and he can help fuel the sacrifice. But he's also not a bad little character because he can be buffed off your stronghold on the defense, so you can effectively get a free 1/1 for defending. He's also not a bad guy just to send as a rocket to go flip over and reveal a province, because he is a scout. Just to kind of see what it is before you commit anything more serious. And he also can just be someone who can help you also, again, just defend to keep you from losing honor for, being unopposed and stuff like that. So there's some nice, versatile uses he has for just being a free character.
Yeah, he does exactly what he says he's going to do. And I really feel that it's an important card right now in Crab. And also, it's a great card for people that are learning the game. But it does that quick, like that poke. Right? I'm just going to check it out, right? And I even find that these are very useful even at the end of the game, where you have your 2 challenges, and if you're strong in one side, to kind of do that quick poke at the stronghold and see what's on the other side of that ability. So before you commit so much cards and waste, that final push, it lets you take the peek and then set yourself up accordingly to what the hidden information is.
Yeah, and if you think about, there's a lot of free ways to also buff certain stats. So he also can be a guy to threaten, just claiming a ring effect, because you can send him for free, and is your opponent has to be like, okay, am I going to commit somebody to stop a 0/0 coming into my province? And then all of a sudden, they flip something and you bonsai and then break a province, or he goes in political and then you ornate phantom and then you can win and trigger a ring. There are some threats and stuff there that can make your opponent have to deal with a 0/0 character that you just sent off as a sacrificial, whatever.
Yeah,
so it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
A great bonsai, way of the crab. There's a whole bunch of things that this guy can do. Crab does have the sacrifice mechanic in there, and what better target, right? Especially after you've used them, right? So I think it's a great card. It definitely belongs in Crab. Crab needs this right now. They need it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
need this.
Well, I mean, you don't want to be investing fate, right? The game is about fate management. You don't want to be investing fate in cards that you're going to be having to sacrifice and pop off that aren't even going to make it through the turn without doing squat.
Right.
So I at that point, if this had a value on it, I would rather invest in another card and then push in blindly rather than scout it out. But because of the 0 cost, that's what really makes this sing. Just to be able to put that on the board, and you have, obviously the rest of your fate to spread elsewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, I think newer players could probably look at this and just be confused on why this might be a great card. But as you start kind of playing and seeing some of the mechanics in Crab, but also kind of seeing like how important going into a province blind and then having it be something that like changes the conflict type, switches the ring on you, all of a sudden honors, dishonors somebody, things that you don't account for being in the conflict, but being able to kind of just see it and then know that when you go in to finally like break it for real, or even just to get rid of some trigger effects, like this is a great character to hit an endless planes with, or stuff like that. That's just like, yeah, cool, I'll throw this free character that I didn't pay anything for, like go out and check it out.
Yeah, those first couple turns of a game can be stressful, those first conflicts you get in, because of the on reveal effects that a province can have, and can just throw you sideways, right? Like if you're gunged up for really making a push for a ring effect, even if like I'm not going to break it, and then all of a sudden they switch the ring on you, or you've pushed in and the conflict type changes, you're just screwed, Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad times.
Yeah, now you're in a lifeboat for the rest of the round, man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this card is definitely could be undervalued for somebody new coming into the game. So we just have to just take our word for it right now.
Yeah, all the hype for a 0-0-0. Just trust us, please. All right. Anyway, so we'll keep on moving. Eager Scout, great card. So next we have the Funeral Pyre. This is another Crab holding. It is a ritual. It is a strength +0 to the province it buffs, and it has an action: sacrifice a friendly character, draw 1 card. So first, I'll start. I kind of ragged on this card super hard when I first started playing or seeing it, and a lot of it was because it doesn't buff your province at all, and maybe coming off initially looking at like, oh, the Borderlands fortification gives you +2, that's super good, and this doesn't do anything. But then I went and I played single core tournament at Gen Con, and this card was essentially vital to try to get me cards to try to salvage some of the majestic flops you can have in single core, and I grew to appreciate this card a lot more. In the full-fledged 3-core, I think this can find a spot nicely as a 1-of, and maybe a 2-of, but I think a 1-of it definitely justifies and gives you a way to kind of characters that are going away at the end of conflicts, or sorry, at the end of the round, you can convert them into a card, and card draw is really strong, so it's pretty neat. Not bad. And it also has the added ability that there's certain characters in Crab that trigger off when a character leaves play. This gives you a way to also like take a character out of play to trigger other effects.
I think this card is just bonkers, right?
Whoa, bonkers.
Bonkers, man. I mean, again, like you, to the untrained eye, at first you might not see the bonus that it's offering, because L5R, I feel, is a game that if you haven't really put in some time and got some reps in to understand it, maybe you should just pause this cast, go pick up your cards, and just play 1 or 2 games and just see how the mechanics play out, and then a lot of this stuff will start making sense. Because if you've played other card games, you might look at this card and be like, so I'm not even getting a buff on it. Maybe it has a keyword there that could potentially trigger somewhere, but I have to sacrifice one of my guys and I draw 1 card. So this, basically, I'm taking up a card to just get a card. And that doesn't sound like a good trade-off, but in this game, it is. There is usually, I don't know, Corey, let's throw a dart at a board and say like 80-90% chance that every turn someone is leaving play. I mean, especially in Crab. There's somebody with a very slim amount to no fate on them, that they're ready, they've done their business, they've gone out or they're tapped, and you can pop this to grab a card.
Yep.
So just look at your timing windows and things like that, and obviously we're not talking about a guy that is potential to still do something for you. right? Just look where your action windows are after conflicts or between them. And if you've used a guy and he has no fate on him, pop this holding and get a bonus for that guy.
Just convert him into a conflict card.
Yeah, that's right. Convert from Dynasty to conflict. That's basically what it's doing. It's giving you some hand size. Mm-hmm. So I think it's great, man. I think it's really great. I like this one a lot more than I liked the other holding. Yeah,
I mean, I think this is a solid like one of include. I don't know if you want to do too many multiples, because if you end up in a situation where like you flip multiples of these, dirty. But I think having a singleton in is great, just to kind of, because if it does come up, it can be a nice way just to keep funneling cards into your hand.
Question in chat for you, Corey, saying, do you play this with or instead of the Imperial Storehouse?
You could still play it with. I mean, I think if depending on Crab wants to run like a decent number of holdings, you could probably do 1 Funeral Pyre and probably 3 Storehouses. The Funeral Pyre is more, going to stick around, and which is kind of good if you're playing with, like the Suki Merchants and Kaiu Vici, because those guys, once your holdings, will still be around and not have to go away. And the cool thing about the Funeral Pyre is it can give you the card draw effect without itself leaving. Well, the storehouses do have to leave, so you also have to be kind of careful of your timing to make sure you can trigger the effect off the character before you get rid of your holding to draw a card. Now, sometimes you could be super lucky and your opponent has a holding sitting out anyway to give you your effects. So I don't see why. I don't think it's bad for you to play with both of them.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
All right, let's keep on trucking. And we'll go into this card that longtime viewers may recognize was revealed on this show quite some time ago. This is the Hida Guardian. This is a Crab character Bushi. Cost 1, military 1, political 1, glory 1. Action. While this character is participating in a conflict, choose another participating character until the end of the conflict. That character gets +2 military and +2 political for each holding you control. Cool. So it's not a bad, like, it's a cheap 1+1+1, so that's good. You're kind of getting even stats for 1 fate. And the ability and stuff can be super strong if you're able to set up and stack the holdings, be able to buff another character. I feel like right now in the game, that's still really hard to kind of get to line up. I think I'm still seeing it being a hard time to try to make sure you're consistently getting the holdings, or it's coming up at the time where the Guardian's here and you have some other person to be able to trigger, and then you have the holding. Sometimes you'll have those turns where like no holdings are there and the Guardian pops out, or you get holdings and no Guardian shows up. Then that can be a little frustrating to trigger the card. But I think as you get maybe some better holdings or things that can make it a little bit more consistent for you to get holdings in play, this card gets better. I don't think it's a bad card. I don't think it's like an auto include 3 of, but I don't think it's like a bad like 2 of to maybe play with index.
Yeah, this card is really tricky.
Because
I don't think it's not your time, Hida. It's not your time,
Right.
Your time will come, but it's not right now. I feel that what you're gonna do with this card is that Crab's gonna play with holdings. Okay. This card gets the buff, and it becomes good, right? Like if you can buff that up with a holding. If you have 2 holdings out,
that's super good. That's like +4/+4.
That's pretty. I'll use that same word again. That's pretty bonkers.
Yeah.
Right. That's the word of the day. Pee-wee's Playhouse. I think
if Crab gets a way to search holdings, then the Guardian really opens up and becomes amazing. I think right now you just roll the dice. You just do the stars align? Do I get everything to come out in the perfect order for this card to really turn on? If so, awesome. If not, then you're paying for a 1/1/1, which, okay, sure.
Yeah, then you might as well have the scout. But then, for this, what I think it's going to do, it's going to cause tempo hold up. And it's going to cause you to make choices that you don't want to make. Where early in the game, if you have this in your opening draw, you might keep this and then try and mulligan hard for a bunch of strongholds for that early pressure that you can get. But if you do that and you whiff, he might not get properly set up.
Yeah, and you also need another character.
Yeah, but then
so
I think it's also going to clog,
like
right? You're not going to you're going to look at cards, like that last holding that we saw, the pyre, and you just might let it sit there when you need cards because you're like, I want the boost off my guardian, right? And then when you have, even if you get two of them out, well, that's like 2 holdings that you're not cycling off to get new guys into play. So it's going to be a tricky balance, and right now I'm just not I'm not convinced that it's all that, but I think it's still good. It's still a card you're going to play with. I'm not saying don't play with it, but I'm just saying like be weary of it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of situations I can see where certain cards can bait you or trap you into making really suboptimal plays to try to maximize the benefit off of it. And that's just something that play experience is going to get you a lot better at. But I do think this card gets better if Crab gets a way to kind of go through and find holdings, like mid-turn, allow them to like sift and get the one they need so then they can get something in to be able to turn the ability on. Or if they get other cards that trigger off you having holdings to justify you leaving, flipping multiples or leaving more in your provinces to try to get these triggers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you get stuff like that, then it makes it, the risk is compounded. It's not as bad because you're having a lot of things to give you benefits off of it as opposed to just trying to line up these couple characters that are in the core set.
Yeah, and you want you also want that good selection of holdings, right? Where it's not like these ones aren't going to do anything for you, but when you have variety and you can pick the best ones that are going to be tuned to your deck and then put this in as well as that, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We ready?
Rolling.
All right. So the next character we move on to happens to be the old clan champion of the Crab Clan, the Great Bear, Hida Kisada. He is a Bushi champion. He is a cost 5, military 7, political 2, glory 0. He has a special ability. While you have not lost a conflict this phase, cancel the effects of the first action ability your opponent triggers from a card during each conflict. So, this guy's great. So, I mean, he's great. I have somehow read people who don't believe he's that great of a clan champion. I disagree. I think this ability is pretty impactful. And I'll try to do the best I can in a short period of time to kind of explain why. So yes, you can't lose a conflict, but his ability is always on until that instance happens. He doesn't have to be in the battle either. He just has to be on the board in order to have this effect go off. Now, I know like new players sometimes get caught off of this because they forget that ability's live. And so they'll play something and your opponent will be like, I cancel it. Okay, gotcha. That's more of like a, I did it, cool. But people who are actually paying attention and they're aware of the ability throughout the turn, this makes your opponent have to consider their play order. In old L5R, when you were the attacking player, there was a really cool card called Sneak Attack that allowed you to effectively get the first action as the attacker. His ability in some ways kind of functions like that because sometimes the first ability your opponent does as a defender, he's going to blank and cancel anyway. So you're pretty much getting the momentum on the offense. Then if you think about on the defense, he's there on the table. He's buying you time to set up to maximize another ability. Sometimes you'll have windows and actions where you'll be like, oh, I'm really worried about this effect hitting me. so I have to deal with this first, but I would really like to trigger this first. And Kisada buys you that time, because your opponent has to think about the first thing they're going to do that's not an attachment or dropping in a conflict character is going to get canceled. Just done. And they still have to pay the cost for it too. Now, I know some clans have like easy things they can do, like they could pop their stronghold or they could do an action on a holding to eat the ability, but it's still buying you time. And that can be a very powerful thing in this game, when the timing and the air and the flow of some of your actions can really set up some pretty nasty combos or prevent you from being targeted by things like route and stuff like that. Sorry, I think I went off a little bit on it.
No. Just making sure that I'm reading chat messages. Yeah. See, I mean, are you not gonna play him right now? Right, like.
Right. And I mean, things too. He's just like a beat stick, right? And it's very crab. Like he's just like a bludgeon. So 7 military is super big. Other things that's good / hilariously bad about him right now in this instance is his glory 0 means that dishonor doesn't impact his stats at all. It also doesn't help him when he's honored, but it is pretty funny because he's super susceptible to mirror mode as fury, which is like super hotness right now. So that gets a little funny because even if you reveal all the provinces, he can still be mirror mode as fury because he's 0 glory. But he's still good. He's still a great champion.
Yeah, to me, it's just a weird balancing of stats and things like that across the board, and knowing how to use him properly. I think his true value comes into actually understanding the flow of the deck around him and when to bring him in and how to use his his big 7 smack. But I don't like the fact that he's got no glory. But
crab life.
Yeah, I do like the 7-2 ratio, man. I think that as much as like I favor a clan that has a more balanced champion, I like the offset a lot better, because that really shows where you can excel with him, yeah, but I mean, realistically, what are you gonna do? You're obviously going to be playing him right now, and he can, if you get him on the board, he is going to really change the course of play dramatically for not just you, but your opponent is going to have to play around this guy. Have to.
And if they don't, they're going to end up getting something they don't plan about getting canceled.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna be paying attention, and they're gonna get something nullified, and then it's gonna be awkward.
So I like him, but I don't like him enough to say that he's not the best of the clan champions.
No, he's definitely not the best,
but
he's far from the worst.
Yes. So as champions go, he's blazing middle ground.
There we go.
Right?
Blazing middle ground.
Well, I mean, you don't want to. It's hard because when you look at cards and when you run kind of like this setup that we have, reviewing cards, giving our opinions, I find it sometimes to be a cop out to say it's so middle of the road. Like, I don't want to be that fence sitter, but it's not good. I feel like it's not good and it's not bad. Right.
It's not like the best ability, but it's definitely not bad ability.
It's legitimate right now. There's nothing else I can say more about this card that makes it more vanilla than what it is.
Yeah.
As a champion.
Cool. You ready?
Yeah.
Keep moving?
Yeah.
All right. Next we go on to Hida Tomonatsu. This is a crab character Bushi. Cost 3, military 3, political 2, and glory 2. Reaction. After this character wins a conflict as a defender, sacrifice it, choose a non-unique attacking character, return that character to the top of its owner's deck. I'm not a huge fan of this card.
No, this is... I don't want... Do I use the G
word? Were you going to say garbage?
Yeah.
So, here's a few things that's really weird about this card. So it wants you to win on the defense. So definitely you want to bring this out. You don't really want to put fate on it, right? Because the odds are if you defend with it, you're going to pop it. But then you're going to pick a non-unique character. So sometimes your options there are not great. It's not anything your opponent's really going to be that worried about. And since it's a non-unique character you have to pick, it could also be something your opponent didn't even invest fate in anyway. So it's going away at the end of the round regardless. And then do you really want to take like the good non-unique character and put it back on top of the deck so then they can know they're going to flip one on their next turn? I mean, I think your ideal scenario is like she defends against something that has a lot of attachments loaded on it, and you're like, oh yeah, I got rid of all this stuff and your cool add-ons. No, I don't think this card is great right now, or if it will be. I think this is easy cut. This one that doesn't make in the decks.
The placement of that card is just so mind-blowingly disgusting. And I don't mean disgusting as in like, you know, the cool hip way where somebody says that's sick or disgusting kind of thing, right? Like this is like old school disgusting where it's like not good.
Yeah. Hey, but you'll be pleased to know, spoiler alert, if you haven't read any of the fiction, mute for about 10 seconds. She's not getting a new card because she dies in the fiction. So don't worry, team. Unmute. So, all right. She'll never be able to redeem herself.
No. Well, like I said,
which is a shame. It's it's a neat character idea. I see what they're trying to do with it. I just don't think in execution it comes out that great. And I think that's really weird too. Is the Glory 2 stat is really strange for a character that looks like you're gonna like sacrifice, because like that's just a really odd stat to have on this character. Anyway, I'm ready to keep moving.
Yeah, I like I say, what really drags me down for this, knowledge is power in a card game. So me telling you what your next card draw is not really the best thing that I feel like I want to be doing, even though I know what it is. And
maybe, and it's like I can't even think of the situation where like you would even do this on like a lackluster character to try to stall them. I don't. It's just not.
Yeah,
it's
like
not good.
Yeah, let me just sacrifice all this crap over here to move some shitty guy back out to clog your hand, and you're like, ha ha ha. Yeah,
but like I still paid 3 for this 3/2. Like she's not even Borderlands defender stat.
No,
right.
This is
not Borderlands. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
pass.
So yeah, pass. Sorry. If you have a really great combo with her, I would love to hear about it. I don't think I want to do that though.
Yeah.
So all right. Next, we're going to go to the Haruma Yojimbo. This is a crowd character, Bushi Yojimbo. Cost 2, military 4, political 3, glory 2. Some of that weird glory stat. This character cannot be declared as an attacker. Yeah, this card's great. I said great again, but it is. For the stat to cost ratio, it's fantastic. And the neat thing is the wording can't be declared as an attacker, means you can still use some movement tricks to still get her into a conflict as an attacker using things like favorable ground, which is pretty funny. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a pretty vanilla card, but it's stats for cheap cost that just gives you some nice extra walls to put in front of your provinces.
So I like this card. I really do. Like you said, there is enough trickery to move her around because of the wording. But even this is the one that like we were talking about off the top, where characters, having that small defensive buffs off the stronghold and stuff like that. Cards like this, let you hold back one character where other clans would have to hold back two, to defend against. So she can really stand on her own sometimes on a defense, especially because the glory stat, if you can get her honored off, it's really good, man.
Yeah, the one thing to be aware of, she is prime assassination target.
Well, that's where I was going next.
Yeah.
I don't know, like us coming from a Netrunner background, we looked at things early in Netrunner where Anarch had, I know this could be bluff to a few people, but I do have a point. We had Yogg, and Yogg was a card that just killed anything that was at a certain strength. And now we have Assassination that kills everything that is at a certain strength or below. So, Corey, do you think we're going to be looking at cards like this all the time, and Assassination is going to be so prevalent out there that we're like, this is a really good card, but Assassination exists, so it's garbage.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I think it's something you have to think about, but I think there's a lot of ways to play around Assassination. One is that the one difference from Yogg didn't really have a cost to its really
well,
cool
yeah,
effect.
okay, I'm just yes.
Assassination does have a pretty significant cost and honor, so there are ways to limit how many of them can be played against you at one time. Also, as cancels are available, and then of course certain clans may actually grow to not play with Assassination because they may be trying to do honor style wins, so they can't go that direction. So it's definitely something to consider and be aware of. But I also don't think it's going to be so much as for the card as much as something to be aware of on your board state whenever you're taking actions and playing on things. So I don't think we're going to get into that type of situation currently in this game.
Yeah, no, because obviously we're just going to have to footnote it, but I don't think that weighs too heavily on my thing, or my think is, I don't know. I never like to. I would rather go based on the thoughts that the player doesn't have the card when they need it, than always being too careful, thinking they do.
Yeah.
And that's just my style. But so I really like this card. I think this is a card that fits right into your crab deck. And you probably want to play as many as you have core sets.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have 2 core sets, play 2.
Yeah, thank you for breaking that down.
If you have 3, play 3.
All right, cool.
Unless you have 4 core sets, do not play 4 of these guys.
Oh yeah, it's true. Otherwise, you're going to be losing a lot of games.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so next up, we've got the Intimidating Hida. This is a crab character Bushi. Cost 3, military 4, political 2, glory 1. Reaction. After an opponent passes on declaring a conflict, that player loses 1 honor. So what's cool about this card is this helps open up another direction that crab can potentially move. It kind of has open right now, is playing also a dishonor style victory towards their opponent. So obviously, as you've seen from some characters, like military seems to be a route, with a dishonor as another option. And so this is another way to kind of ping honor from your opponent if you get in a situation where, like, yeah, crab's not so great at political. They're probably going to come in and sneak a political challenge past you. But then when it gets to their military challenge, they may not feel like they can do anything. Do they want to commit somebody? And then if you're going second, do they want to commit somebody and open themselves up for you to have a massive counterattack against them? Because you can go without any retribution coming at you. And that's where if they decide, I'm just going to pass my conflict. Or even if they're trying to stall out to be able to do their challenge later, I'm going to pass my conflict. You just ping them for an honor. Pretty cool. It's a neat ability. And as I said, this is another card that helps kind of move into dishonor flavor style crab builds.
But man, I don't really believe that that's going to be a threat.
You don't think Dishonor Crab's going to be a threat?
No, the like this ability right now.
No.
I just as in like being used, right? Like I just don't see people. I'm trying to think back of all the games I've played, and when has somebody been like, pass?
So I've had this ability become impactful quite a few times. I think you'd be surprised how often your opponent has to actually, there are situations you can set up to where it does matter, or it's not optimal for them to want to declare a challenge. Dishonor Crab is something that I think can become very viable. And I think this ability will matter in some instances. Think of a situation like you're playing Dragon, right? And you only have like 2 characters live on the table. And I'm sitting with maybe like 3, and he's one of them. And you're first player. You don't have an Indomitable Will in hand. So do you commit with a character, let me block, and then I can pass my turn, then you commit with your second character, and now you're wide open? Are you going to try to pass on one of those challenges so you can have someone available to do it? Or what if you come in with one, and then my next challenge is to come in with the Ring of Water, and then I bow your other character, and you have to pass on your other one unless you're going to spend more resources for a conflict character from hand.
Yeah, I can see your points on those ones.
Yeah.
But to me, it's I think it's still a good card that you're going to be playing with right now, because it's
you're getting 4 military for 3 costs.
Yeah, that's where I was going. The stats per cost, and it's even sitting with 1 glory, so that's okay. That they've tacked it on the end there, but I feel that the reaction is not going to be the selling feature of this right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
4-2 for 3. That's to me. That's what's making it a play. That's what's making it an include.
Yeah, and I think its stats are great for the cost, but it does have an ability that isn't to be ignored. Like in matchups in certain games, that can be very impactful.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Come
for the stats, stay for the ability,
stay for the reaction.
Yeah.
I do think though that you can say that about anything, right? Like if it's this card is if you can pull it off, or if it triggers, right, it's going to be weighed more. But I just think that out of all the times that this is on the board, I just don't think that people are going to be looking for that, and you're going to have to try and make it happen, and it's going to be all board state. And so it does have as Hollis would do the salt thing, it does have that pinch of randomness in there to be able to set things up.
It's cool. I like it.
Yeah, so do I, but to me it's just good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're flowing. So next up, we've got the Kaiu Envoy. This is a crab character, Bushi. This is a cost 1, military 1, political 0, glory 1. It's a character that has courtesy, so when it leaves play, you gain a fate, and it has sincerity, so when it leaves play, you draw a card. Excellent choice. Fantastico. This character, so it's cheap, it's got a military, so it can actually like win rings and challenges. It's a great rocket just to send off to test provinces and do things. He can block and be buffed to a 2 strength, 1 or 2 military, 1 political off the stronghold. He is a great target to send off, check something, and then feed him to the pyre to give you his fate back, plus 2 cards, because you get 1 for his sincerity and 1 for the pyre. He's also a great way of the crab target because he gives you this fate back. Lots of great things the Envoy is good for. He's just a fantastic sacrifice character. Excellent. Play with 3 of them. They're great.
Echo everything that you said. Again, because of the mechanics of the crab, you want to have cheap guys like this at your beck and call to feed off to, like you said, your sacrificial abilities. I really like the fact too that these two cheap ones that we have seen, at least to balance them out, they are included at the 0 stat, and that's heavy because those could be like slash lines where they can't even participate.
That's correct.
So getting participation on political for this, I think, is really cool as well, and it just makes this card auto include.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know why you wouldn't play with three of those.
It fully rounds out the full suite of this. Very cheap. The one military can be included in political. You've got the glory and the abilities there to gain fate, gain cards. So amazingly well done.
Yeah. It gives you a nice character to bring out with no extra fate on him, and he's just there, and he's gonna pay you back when he leaves. He's gonna be like, thanks for giving me my ticket to ride.
Yeah, right.
Here's your refund.
Yeah.
I have a rebate. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, he's gonna give you more.
Yeah, he's like a bonus. He's like an investment.
Mm-hmm.
Invest one in me later. I'll make your money back. Plus, I'll give you a card.
Yeah, there's nothing else to say. This is, like I said, auto include for me in Crab. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's keep on trucking.
Okay.
So next we've got Kaiu Vici. He is a Crab character, Bushi engineer.
An engineer.
He is a cost 4, military 3, political 3, glory 2. He has the covert ability, and that is when this character attacks, choose one character without covert. That character cannot be declared as a defender. And he has an action. During a conflict in which this character is participating, if there is a holding in play, gain 1 fate. This guy is excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you first look at this compared to some of the other ones, I think you get thrown off. We've said before, for me at least, when I'm reading these cards, the 4 fate cost of a card, this is when you really have to start to decide if the abilities and what they can do for you is worth it. Fate management at 4 is super tricky. But this guy, no doubt about it. What you're getting here is the covert. What you're getting here is an amazing action. What you're getting is 2 glory. This guy sings in Crab. Sings.
Yeah. He's really good in the sense that, you can get in situations where you can whittle down your opponent's defenses or characters because they're trying to commit so much to try to get in, and then he can just sneak in and take a province out. He's also just good economy because if you put an extra fate to keep him for a turn or two, he can just make, he'll get you that fate back that you invested and then funnel another one. He's a nice little engine as long as there's holdings in play. And the cool thing about his ability is it doesn't have to just be you, as long as there is a holding in play. So if your opponent is sitting on one as well, he can use this action to trigger and gain you fate. But a big thing that I'm discovering, and as you're seeing a lot of people who are splashing Dragon for Tattooed Wanderer, Covert's a very powerful ability right now in the game. So that ability being stock on a character is really rare right now, and it's really strong. Because you drop a fine katana on this guy, right? He's sneaking provinces by himself. You put a fan on him, he's political provincing by himself. And now you have to be careful on leaving extra people to be able to deal with him. Otherwise, he's going to sneak on in and break your province.
Yeah, to me, this is one of the best cards that we've seen so far out of Crab. Like you said, Corey, there's right now auto includes that you have, which are stat bonus cards from your hand that drop a sword on them, get them up. And what that's going to do is that's going to let you covert somebody and possibly take a province by himself.
Yeah.
That's saving a lot of your resources for defense where Crab shines. Or, he's a great counter. Someone's making that big push, and because you're such a defensively functioning faction, that's pretty tongue twister. Because you're a defensive specialist, this is one of the cards I was referring to where I said you're able to open up window swings. So, heavy on the defense, this one guy can just do it by himself. I think that this is phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to give him a spin sometime. He's pretty great.
Yeah.
It also opens up a lot of Kaiu's got some pretty sweet cards. You got the Envoy, and then you got Suichi. Both of them are pretty freaking amazing. Like, you're gonna get pretty excited every time a member of this family pops up in a future pack, because right now they're batting 1,000.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool, and away we go. Shurujisuki is the next one. This is a crab character and a courtier. Hey, we have a crab courtier finally.
What?
Cost 2, military 1, political 2, glory 1. Action. While this character is participating in a conflict, if there is a holding in play, look at the top 2 cards of your conflict deck, add one of those cards to your hand, and place the other on the bottom of your conflict deck.
So now this card could potentially be the best card we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Let me just get this out here first, Corey.
Sure. Oh, you do it. You go.
When you read these cards, right, and it's triggering off if there is a holding in play, not just on your side, like you said, but on both, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Right? Like, obviously I feel like everybody's running holdings, and you as a crab player are running probably a good decent amount already. So as soon as you enter the game against somebody, your chances of seeing a holdings just nominally increases, just freely. So the value that are pulling out of these guys just works so perfectly. Like, I can't tell you enough how awesome this ability is, how well costed he is. I don't think there's a problem paying 2 for the 1/2/1.
Yeah, especially because his ability is allowing you to filter cards.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we spoke a lot about how card draw is super impactful in this game.
So important. There's very little card draw happening. So for you to be able to go through and do a little bit of cycling is just so powerful.
Yeah. And it's also, courtier is a very rare trait in crab. So this also kind of gives you a courtier, so it can turn on some of the card effects. I don't think you're playing like For Shames and stuff, but it does give you someone who can step in the political realm a little bit, which is a very big weak.
Play a little court games here.
Yeah, that's right. And it's something that's really, it is an area that crab struggles in. It's on the political side of the spectrum. They're not good at talking about things, but they sure as hell can hit you in the head with a big stick. But being able to find the big stick is what the Yasuki helps you do. It's a great card. Granted, yes, you can get in situations where you might have the point where there's not a holding in play, but a lot of times his ability will be alive, and your opponent will hate the fact that he's on there filtering cards for you.
Yeah. And I mean, like, at worst, this guy will probably sell you a Mogwai.
Right. Wow. Okay. There you go. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I also love the Yasuki family in game storyline, so they automatically get thumbs up for me just for existing. So, bit of a bias.
Oh man.
It's good sorry, man.
That.
Yeah. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for my new Yasuki Taka. When the new Yasuki Taka gets out, I'm gonna lose my mind. Please be great. Please don't be a bad card. Don't let me down.
So, moral of the story for this card: card draw right now is so rare and so powerful that makes this card super good.
Yeah. All right. Next, we move to the Steadfast Witch Hunter. So this is a 4-cost military 4, political 2, glory 0. This is a Sugenja and has the Earth trait. and it has an action. Sacrifice a friendly character, choose a character, ready that character. Yes. So I spoke a little bit earlier about a really cool thing that Crab's able to do is to get a lot of mileage out of a few number of characters. Witch Hunter is one that is a great enabler for that ability. He can allow you to commit and send people forward on a counterattack or a defense, and then immediately sack someone. Like, I don't know, you may happen to have some cheap, easy sackable characters like an Eager Scout or a Kaiu Envoy, or even a Keeper you triggered off of a ring and brought on the play for free. And then ready one of your big hitters to then be able to counterattack. This is where you can do things like defend with Kisada, or attack with Kisada and send him on a military challenge as a missile, have him break something, and then just ready him with the Witch Hunter, so now he's available to put that strength to defense. Lots of really cool things that the Witch Hunter enables. And it's a 4 military for 4, which is pretty good.
Yeah, but my problem there is that too many good 4s.
Yeah, I mean, I think as the round of things, your main 4s you're playing with is probably the Witch Hunter and the Suichi. I think those are pretty much like your those are pretty much your 4-cost characters. But the Witch Hunter gives you so much value. Yeah. And the other thing that also can matter is it does give you, for another card we'll get into later, it does give you another way to do like a mid-turn sacrifice trigger to remove someone from play, which can be used if you start getting more things that want to trigger, like when characters leave play. I think Witch Hunter is good. I think Witch Hunter is really good.
Yeah, and we're seeing a theme on the stats here. So, take that for how you will. But I think that what this card does is, and Corey hinted at it there, what makes this an include for me is the tempo swing that it can create, to be able to bounce back, sacrificing guys, which you're already prepared for. You can't, you're not going to be playing Crab if you're not willing to sacrifice some dudes,
right?
And then being able to ready them up after a big defensive push, or a big defensive stop, I should say. For your next conflict, this character can stand a player up and get ready to counterpunch, to get the tempo back in your court and to right the ship. This is a needed card in Crab because of that, because you're having to commit guys that you normally wouldn't want to on the defense, or commit them on the attack and bring them back up.
Now, another interesting thing to point out too is this is the only Sugenja in Crab Clan currently. So the Yasuki was the only courtier that's Crab Clan, and this is the only Sugenja in Crab Clan. So most of the things we've seen have all been Bushi. So they have a lot of Bushi in Crab. And so far in the game, not that many Sugenja options or courtier options.
No.
All right.
No, but still a card that I feel is very pinnacle on Crab strategy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I think it's a great include. All right, so next we go on to the Vanguard Warrior. This is a Crab character Bushi. It is a cost 2, military 2, political 1, glory 1. Action: sacrifice this character, choose a character, place 1 fate on that character.
No Bushi shortage in here, eh?
No, they're Bushi for days.
Bushi for days.
So, excellent.
Courtiers for
you
weeks.
You get a 2 military, 1 political attacker defender who pretty much towards the end of the turn, he can sack himself to keep a character around for another turn, or you start seeing cards that trigger abilities on: does this character have fate? Discard a character without fate. Bow a character without fate. You now have a character who can do some stuff and then use himself as a defense mechanism to protect something more valuable. So that way it either doesn't leave at the end of the turn or it can't be targeted by things like Ring of Water and stuff like that. So it's a cool card.
Cool doesn't even sum up how good this can be. Again, like we said, the cards are gonna leave, right? There's question about that. Cards are gonna leave play, and fate management, again, key. So what this does here is, sometimes you don't have. Sometimes you have to make those hard calls, putting in one of your good cards with, little to no fate on it, because that's what you have to do at that moment in time. So if you can get a card like this in next round, and then slap another fate on something that offsets from a previous one, or that turn or whatnot, but this is great. A great costed card. Decent, okay stats. I'll take those stats, but I love that action. I love it.
Yeah. And looking at like this card ability, you're looking at the envoy, and even looking at to it affect the fate gain that Kaiu Vici can give you. And then of course we're not talking about conflict cards yet, but thinking about the conflict card reprieve, this is a big reason why you see Crab able to be super efficient with their fate mechanics. They're able to keep people in play longer than you may anticipate them being there, because it looked like they came into play with no fate on them. And then all of a sudden, they're reprieved. A Vanguard warrior comes in, puts another fate on it. It's still here. And you can see situations where some Crab character or some Crab players can end up with a nice pool of fate because they're getting it back from certain characters leaving play and giving them fate and cards. Or they're generating the fate off of characters. It's a very interesting thing that Crab's able to do, and that's why I say like they're able to get a lot of efficiency out of a small number of characters.
Question from the chat. It says Corey must cloud the mind everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I have.
And I said my response is that's funny because that's what we were talking about before we went live.
It was all the beautiful cloud of mind targets.
Yeah,
I've actually had someone.
And that's coming from the person that you're trying to get to run 3.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Anyway, I had a situation in the game where like I put Kisada. I had Kisada and someone void ring a Kisada to go down to 0 fate. And I had a Vanguard warrior, and they had to assassinate my Vanguard warrior before I could sack him. They burned an assassinate to stop the Vanguard warrior from putting a fate on the champion to keep him around for another turn.
Hey, that's the kind of pressure that he puts out there, man.
Yeah, he's crazy. So yeah, again, excellent card. And the other thing that is an ability that should be worth noting. It is also a way to have a character leave play in the middle of the turn, which can trigger other abilities and effects that we may talk about on the next card or other cards coming down the road.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess up next is sorry. You guys.
No, I'm just going to say really, really awesome card. And then that example really defines the pinnacle of what he can do when people are willing to assassinate this guy to stop him, him from delivering his message.
That's correct. He's like, oh wait, you must stay around.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vanguard warrior. All right. So now we move on to our last card, our last Dynasty card. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You ready to do this?
Yeah,
all right.
Man.
We've got the Vengeful Berserker. The Vengeful Berserker is a Crab character, Bushi Berserker.
And I'm not even going to go there with the Clerks reference again. But every time I hear Berserker, you know what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Is there enough muscles on this dude in the artwork? Anyway, he's a cost 3, military 3, political dash, glory 0. Reaction. After another character you control leaves play during a conflict, double this character's military skill until the end of the conflict. So, this guy is very interesting. I'm not going to initially say that he's like, oh my god, I need to play with 3 of. because the dash political is a bit of a problem, because you've kind of seen that like every other crab character can be involved in every aspect of the challenge. So you kind of want that flexibility. But man, can this guy turn into a giant rocket if you can set everything up. What's important to note is it's not his base. It doubles his military, and the double stays continuous. So if you say funeral pyre a guy in the middle, all of a sudden he goes from a 3 to a 6, and then you bonsai for losing an honor. That's actually an 8 military swing you're adding on that guy, because that also is doubled because his ability stays on him. That it's doubling effects and abilities as he's going through stuff.
Yeah, this guy single-handedly F's shit up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not, and it's exponentially. He just doesn't. He comes in, and unfortunately, if you can't get this to pull off, it's kind of like a wah, right? Because you're paying 3 for 3 slash or 3 dash. I don't know what the community terminology we're going with these people are, but so you're getting 3 for 3, nothing and 0 glory. So if you can't be in a position where you know that this guy is going to double up, he's just so lackluster.
Yeah. And the 0 glory also means, because you're most likely using him on the offense. You could use him as like a giant wall if your opponent's sending a big army in and you're able to stack. But you have to be careful, because he's also very Miyamoto's Furiable. Man, I can't believe I turned that into a verb. Anyway, other thing to add in too is if his ability is live and you duel with this guy, he also doubles. So if I bid 2, I'm adding 4 to his military if his ability is live and active, which again is crazy if you go with one of those like crane crab builds where you're playing with duelist tanks like that. Like, there's some really neat things you can really do to make him just become insane, but there are some ways to deal with it and get around it, and you don't want to go too crazy with it. So, but it's fun when you get this insane berserker who just like explodes all over the place. The single-handedly wrecks an entire army in the province.
Yeah, you got to watch out for him. He can. This guy can one-man army.
Yeah,
your way to victory.
Yeah, I think he's a cool like singleton, maybe 2. I think it's super risky running 3 of him.
I don't know if I would run 3 right now. Like not in this game state.
I think a 1 of
2 would be a bonus, but like because it's one of those cards that you want to, in certain situations you want to see, but you don't want to see it every time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's great, man. When you're able to
turn his ability on.
When you're able to trigger.
And you have to be careful too, because he can come up in situations where again the game will make you to make subpar decisions. So maybe it might force you that like, oh, I don't want to do a military challenge first. I want to try to use this guy on a political challenge, so then I can have him used, and then I can use him as a sack bait for my Vengeful Berserker, and then that's buying time for your opponent to maybe you should just... You have to be careful, because sometimes when you get these like really cool like build-ups, you get too focused on wanting to do the cool combo.
Yeah,
or have this neat thing triggered.
You get tunnel vision, right? And you're not seeing the most optimal play. You're just knowing that you want to do this, to rub it in their face.
That's right. And then hopefully get a high five from someone next to you. Yeah. I mean, it's all about the high fives, let's be honest. But yeah, and you have to be careful about that, because sometimes you get too many of these carrots that you put out, and then you start chasing all over the place, and you're not playing optimally.
No.
So yeah, that's Crab Dynasty.
Yeah, I would say so. He's not a perfect card, but he's a good include right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd stick around too much, but definitely the one.
Correct. Yeah. So he's cool. He's fun. Yeah. So any thoughts, concerns, things that jump out on Crab Dynasty?
No, I don't. I think it's going to be. I think Crab's in a good place. To me, again, it's just everything's going to come down to fate management. You're seeing their key contributors either being really expensive, sitting in the 4, their champion 5, but you're also seeing a good balance with the guys that can be sacrificed, the ones and zeros. So
yeah, and just other things that and I absolutely agree. Like fate management is super key for running Crab effectively. You've got to get in a really good flow of knowing how to spend it and how to balance, to keep everything going, because you will be playing with some like more expensive than usual characters, but you have so many ways to keep them going, and then a lot of ways to generate fate and cards that you can kind of offload that a little bit. It is worth noting that currently right now in the card pool, I'm not counting any neutrals or anything like that. I mean, Crab only has 1 courtier and 1 Sugenja in their regular pool. So there are some options in that front that does kind of come off the table. It makes it a lot more difficult for you to play unless you bring in neutral options or splash in conflict variations and stuff like that.
Yep.
They're all about punching you in the mouth.
And they do it very well. They don't need courtiers to punch.
No.
Yeah, so that is the first half of Crab. I have really nothing else to add that we haven't splashed throughout this episode. If you've made it this far, thank you very much. Thank you to the people that keep our chat rooms active and alive and kicking during these live shows. Really appreciate it. Thank you to anyone who's going to like and subscribe, and we just appreciate the support and the little community that we so help build and contribute to.
Yeah.
Corey, anything from your side of the fence?
Shout out to the L5R Atlanta community that's growing quite rapidly right now. So if any of you guys check this out, I appreciate it. Thanks. Spread the word. Keep telling, because it's growing quite rapidly right now. And that's fantastic. It's great. I love more people to play against. Also, we'll have Conflict coming up probably later this week. That's what we're shooting for. And then just another quick thing to add. I will be attending PAX Unplugged. So if you are going or think about going, say hey. It'd be cool to meet a bit more new people. Just new Facebook who check out the cast and everything. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so definitely if you are headed that way, drop us a line and meet up with Corey. Talk L5R live. Get some some one-on-one time there.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. We're going to it was a little unorthodox for us to come together on a Sunday night like this, but we're really trying to get through these core sets as quickly as possible because there is a flood of coming.
Yeah. Like you're going to walk
pipe.
to your game store and then just a mountain of cards is just going to fall over.
Yeah.
You're going to be like,
whoever. If L5R is as big as we think it is, people that own game stores, it will be a good Christmas for them.
Yeah. Support your LGS.
Yeah, they're taking my money, I'll tell you that. Guys, thank you, and we'll catch you next time.
Take care, everybody. Thanks again for listening.
Yeah, later. Bye for now.